It's Grace Redman. Thank you for joining me on another episode of Real Talk, where I get to have real life, raw conversations with incredible people from my circles and communities who've overcome challenges and created amazing. Today, my guest is the dynamic Michael Noffsinger. Michael is an AI and government systems strategist whose career spans criminal investigations, digital forensics, public procurement, and technology entrepreneurship. He is Vice President of LotusPetal.ai, CEO of Save 5 Hours, a partner at GovBridge, and founder of AI Expert Witness. Across each role, Michael focuses on finding the hidden structures behind complex problems, how information, incentives, workflows, and decisions actually move, and using AI to create greater clarity, efficiency, and leverage. His work centers on helping people and organizations make better decisions, reclaim time, and perform at a higher level. Please help me welcome Michael to the show today. Hi, Michael.
Hi, how you doing?
I'm great. Thank you for joining me. What an incredible career you've had, and I see you're just getting started.
Thank you. Yeah, no, it's been good so far, and there's more to come. So
yes, I'm very excited to witness your journey from here to there. Because again, you started as a criminal investigator and then went into government, to procurement, into technology. Then you started your own company that was sold within 11 months, which is incredible. And now you're helping other, business owners and companies with AI, implement AI to be more efficient. So what a span. What do you think has been the thread that's connected all of those different careers together?
Well, I guess we're all living life, and it feels kind of like a river that has meandered a bit, doing a lot of different things. But interestingly enough, when you have a lot of different experiences in like what are completely different industries with areas of focus, because you have those experiences in different industries, you're able to intersect them. Your experience and your knowledge allows that intersection. And so as you move forward, all that stuff compounds over time, and then you can build from it, whatever it may be. Fortunately, I'm in a very unique position to have a unique background. So I'm more of an exception than the rule. And in the marketplace for labor or folks that have a certain set of knowledge or talent, my background is unique, which is scarce, and usually scarcity, assuming there's a reasonable amount of demand, drives a higher price. So hope is that this is the economist in me speaking. I have a master's in econ as well. So I'm just, thinking about how it is a unique background. There could be value in it, but we are all unique individual people with unique experiences, and so we all have value. So
for sure, yes, I love how you brought that to the table as well. And I do want to highlight and celebrate the fact that you do have a very unique background. I mean, let's own it. It's okay. I mean, the criminal investigation, and then going into the procurement and the AI. So economics. So it is very unique. And having done staffing for almost 30 years and looked at millions of resumes, it is a unique background. And like you said, there's things that bridge it all together. What do you think is the one thread that bridges it together?
Well, I've always been fascinated with technology. So there's a tech element that kind of threads it together. Also, very interested in human behavior and human systems. My interest in economics, or even in history or politics, human interaction at scale, with personal interest in those areas, kind of complements some of my experiences. So I could say I'm a student of history. I'm a student of how humans organize. I'm a student of how systems can reward certain good behavior and punish certain behavior, and the way you construct those systems can lead to certain outcomes. You can almost predetermine outcomes based on how the systems are set up, uh, because of the incentives in it. Are you punishing good behavior? Are you rewarding bad behavior? You're going to get more of the thing that you're rewarding and less of the thing that you're punishing. This translates to technology too. I mean, people are trying right now with AI, trying to create technology systems or agentic systems that are structured in such a way that allow for more efficiency, more growth, more success. There is a right way and a wrong way, even though there are many ways. There are many ways on the spectrum of right and wrong about what you should be doing for making things work. So,
as far as with AI, you're talking
yeah,
about?
I mean, but even also with systems in life, like
Sure.
I think that, like there's many different cultures, many different people have many different backgrounds.
Yes.
There's different ways that people interact with one another, and a lot of different types of systems, which have varying, lots of complexity, and some systems lead to better outcomes and some lead to worse outcomes. So,
and what I heard you really talk about is different patterns. Like you can really predict the outcome based on previous patterns. And coming, from the criminal investigation side, what is something that you learned about human nature across culture?
well, okay, I'm going to inject some economics into this because, there's different types of motives. Different people have temperament and they're hardwired a certain way. They have different types of temperament. And then from that, people also live their lives and have different types of experiences. And through both a combination of their nature and nurture, their natural being and then their lived experience, they have certain values, things that they prioritize. Do they prioritize relationships? Do they prioritize money? Do they prioritize power? Do they prioritize social cohesion? What are the things that they value, that they prioritize? And then the things that they value in the order internally, it's a normative value. Those things determine if you're creating a system, whether they're going to engage in a certain type of behavior. So if you have somebody who values some sort of social cohesion, then if you set up a system in such a way that rewards them for doing more of that, then they will do more of that and they will excel. But if you punish that, then they can be stunted. And so a lot of society is organized around the allocation of scarce resources, capitalism, for example, and they use money as a proxy, a container or store of value of information, which signals to people what the actual value is for reallocating resources to high demand purposes. And so if you have a system that allows for the reorganization of resources rapidly to areas of need, then that generally leads to growth and success because a larger amount of the populace is being helped. Again, there's a lot of theory and a lot of stuff that gets constructed in order to justify any particular system, but you can generally think about it about what the thing is that you value, and then what the system encourages, and then what the outcomes are. Are people healthier? Are they happier? Are they wealthier? Are they in conflict? Are they in peace? And then you can look at the outcomes to determine, to a certain extent, you can measure and then compare to see whether or not the system is a good system or a bad system. But you could also sort of get a sense of where things are going to go based on how the system is set up. If something is incentivizes competition or productive behavior, then you're going to get more productivity. If you have a system that incentivizes laziness, then you'll get more laziness. If you get a system that incentivizes war, then you'll get more war. So it's really about identifying how the system is constructed so that you are encouraging the right positive outcomes for social cohesion as opposed to the wrong. And this also applies to technology but yeah.
So whatever we're focusing on is what we're going to get back.
On an individual level, yes, and then at a systematic or at scale, I guess how the rules are set up. I mean, I speak about all this because of my interest in like how my work in government, and then my understanding of, you know, how human systems work in general. How that I find that fascinating, and
Totally
that is like
fascinating.
one of the threads that kind of is woven into kind of everything I do. So it's tech and then human systems. So
Yeah, and I love human systems and understanding people's patterns and behaviors, and like you said, it definitely things can be different across cultures, but it's what I've found is something that I think is cross cultures is just the need to be heard and seen and feel safe.
yes, there's definitely consistent human behavior in many different, you know, because we're all people. So yeah,
For sure.
we
For
all
sure.
seek love and family, and you know, a lot of the
Yeah,
best things in life are free, and you can't create an economy around it,
that's
although we
right.
try to.
Well, well, I was going to ask you this question. With that being said, what has been one of your greatest accomplishments?
Um, I think you know, it's a common accomplishment, but it's a great accomplishment because it's a family. You know, I'm proud of my wife and girls, and I have 3 girls, and
God
uh,
bless.
you know, nowadays, I mean, everything takes work. Relationships take work. Um, and but yeah, I am proud, and like, you know, this is the type of thing that we all live life, and kind of run into people, and then develop and friendships, and form relationships, or professional or personal, and but yeah, I think working through, and being determined, and trying, and making things happen despite being hard.
Yes,
It is an accomplishment to, and now society doesn't reward it like it used to. Like back in the day, you, if you want to leave your relationship, you had social pressure to stay in. Now it's the opposite. It's like society is enticing you to end your relationship and
yes.
encourages splits. So trying to maintain it is difficult. So
I,
for a
I
variety of reasons.
yeah, I can relate to that. And I think that's one of the reasons, we connected so well is for myself as well. My greatest accomplishment is, my marriage and my family making it through so many dark seasons where we weren't sure that we're going to make it to the other side. And so, yeah, it's been a great accomplishment. So, how has your criminal investigation skills made you better as an entrepreneur?
So thank you for asking. Um, so for context, I worked 9 years as a criminal investigator. I worked in Santa Cruz County as a criminal investigator, and then also in Santa Clara County. And I've worked over 500 criminal cases. I worked misdemeanors to homicides. I've worked capital cases. I worked a variety of heinous, and then also high-profile cases. And you know, there's a lot of transferable skills in any situation, in any industry, from one to another. But some of the work that's done in certain industries is much different than the work that's done in others. But there are threads, common threads that are and some things that are very, very helpful, that are even though they're completely different. So when I was younger, I would say that I was, maybe I thought that I maybe thought about, I knew more than I did. Uh, did more preparing for talking, less listening. But
Mm,
when you have to interview thousands of people, like there's character witnesses, there's percipient witnesses, and you're listening to people, and you have to sit down for an hour or two with them and listen to their story about everything that happens, that you were not present and you don't know what took place, but you have to listen to what they have to say, because what they say is the evidence that gets presented into court, and how you listen to it and document it is going to determine outcomes for people's lives. I mean, people will go to jail over this. I mean, they're going to lose like a few years to their entire life in jail. And so, uh, your particular witness interview might be the linchpin that determines the outcome for an entire family or extended family. It might blow up a family, or it might save, lives. I mean, so there's a lot of, anyway, so active listening. So over many, many interviews, I think I learned the active listening process, asking questions, understanding where people are coming from. In sales, in particular, the entire sales process, the most effective salespeople are the people who actively listen. They ask questions, they're curious, they open up their ears, and they are listening for the problems that the potential customer or client is saying, and then they listen to that to see if whatever they offer can provide them with value. At the very least, if you're trying to see if like a square peg can fit in a round hole, you would at least, in listening, understand where there's alignment and where there isn't, and see if you can come to some sort of middle ground. But you can't do that if you're not listening. So listening is absolutely critical, and that was one thing that was absolutely critical to investigations, especially the interpersonal, like live interviews that would happen where I am talking to people face to face and they're telling me their story. Another thing that I would say is I had to employ a high degree of skepticism and then curiosity in just fact finding in general. So beyond just with interviews, understanding how things work, why they happened, what's going on, and then applying that in business. You have to do the same thing with market research. You have to understand like the lay of the land and see where you can provide value. It requires having a curiosity. You can't just come with preconceived notions and try to force it onto the marketplace. The market will chew you up and spit you out.
For sure.
So those are two things that transferred. Another thread that is very unique and specific to me that was a transfer was, so I had a friend who was a criminal defense investigator. I was also doing criminal defense investigation. He told me that in working cases in a different county, that in waiting for discovery, and discovery is the process by which the district attorney will turn over to the defense all the evidence that will either support the prosecution or harm the prosecution in proving their case that they filed against the defendant, whatever the crime may be. And so whatever the police collected and everything that they've found, anything that the DA may be aware of or the prosecutor is aware of that may harm or help their case, they have to turn over to the defense. Oftentimes this is their strategic disclosure. Like they'll be like, well, we'll turn over this, but then we don't have to turn that over until like, maybe a hearing or two before trial. And so they'll withhold stuff for strategic reasons because, they want to increase the chance that they can increase their negotiation position or force a settlement, or there may be playing games with confirmation bias or cognitive biases to mislead the defense. Mm-hmm. There is like an us versus them element to this, even though the DA's role is to ensure that they're pursuing justice, whether it's whether it's to dismiss charges or to prosecute. So there does become an adversarial element to this, and there is gamesmanship that happens. Anyway, my buddy was tired of waiting for disclosure, so he would independently investigate things that were not being turned over. So he would put in a public records request, for example, to the police department for all calls of service on a particular street where a crime occurred, but not to the residents where the crime occurred, but to all the other houses around on that street. So, or he'd make a general request for everything on the street. So it was broad, untethered from the case, and could be acted upon without any sort of association with the case, because if it was associated with the case, it would go through the discovery process. He was circumventing it by just, applying his right as a California citizen to access to public records. They would turn over the data.
So he was being strategic and creative, trying to get what he needed for the case.
That's right. And so he would get that data, he'd pull it down, and then it would help him with the investigations. And then in California in particular, if the government doesn't turn over records that it's required by law to turn over, you can sue, and then if you sue and win, then the government has to pay your attorney's fees. So if you are submitting a public records request that is totally legitimate, and the government is like stonewalling you for a baseless reason, then they will have to pay you. So ultimately, he used this tactic to gain evidence, and it sort of unlocked something for me where I was like, oh, wow, I could do this in all my cases. And I started doing it in my cases too. I did what he was doing, and then I tried it in other spaces. I did a lot of dabbling in a lot of different ways across a number of cases, and also for just general intelligence collection. So anyway, I took like the ACL's public records request, and I modified it, and I would like to say that I improved upon it, but I essentially incorporated things that made it easier for me to get records without being charged for them. Also, I would cite case law that specifically allowed me to access records without, having time delays, or without having it caught up in some sort of exception. And because there's a bunch of exceptions to the Public Records Act. And I should probably back up real quick and just let everybody know that in most states of the country, there are public records laws, freedom of information laws, sunshine laws that allow you to access records that are in the public or in the government's possession. And it's a pretty universal right that is very common in, like, let's say, like Western democracy, like the United States. It allows us to hold our elected officials and the bureaucrats who administer policy, and then engage in the public's service, to be audited essentially by the people. And so, because this is a right that the people possess, like anybody could employ this. So I was essentially doing that for criminal cases, but then once I left criminal and I started working in public procurement, where I learned how the government buys. I know how the government buys. I know how all the systems buy. I know how courts buy. I know how federal, state, and local buy. It doesn't matter if you're a school district or a public hospital or an airport. I know how they buy. And so, and during this process, like very commonly, they will release solicitation documents stating what they want to buy. And then in response to those, there will be proposals that are submitted by people who want to sell to the government. And then the government will grade and score those proposals and then select the one that they want to do business with. And there's a lot of process and procedure around this, but essentially all the proposals that are submitted to government enter the public record. And so I was like, well, now you can get public records that are other businesses' proposals, A, and B, now with AI, you can train your AI on public records. So I was like, well, for a whole variety of reasons, I started Bid Data specifically, which is the company that I started, around the idea that I could, disrupt and revolutionize the AI or the government contracting space with an AI company where I'm essentially engaging in intelligence gathering by doing public records requests for data in the possession of government, local, state, and federal, and pull down solicitation documents, the proposals submitted in response to the solicitation documents, the scoring sheets identifying which solicitation documents got which scores, why they were scored, which is a notice of intent to award. And you could take all this stuff and you can put it into AI. You could train an AI. You can conceivably create an AI that is optimized for submitting high quality proposals that are more likely to be successful. And that was something that motivated me to open up my own business in the space. So the thread of criminal and my experience in criminal led into me applying that to government contracting and understanding, once I understood how the sausage was made internally, all the different ways that could be used for the purpose of, creating a disruptive product through Bid Data. So,
And, had you not had your role as a criminal investigator, had you not had your role in procurement, you wouldn't have all that experience and knowledge to have started your own company and then have it. And that wasn't even your intention to have it, be bought 11 months later. It just happened.
right.
Which is
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah. Thank you. It wasn't my intention at all. And I didn't set myself, I wasn't even looking to get acquired. And, yeah. I wasn't looking to get acquired, and but I think when they started talking to me, they realized that I had thought through this very extensively. I had thought through all the different ways that I understood at a granular level and at scale how all the different players in the industry and the government contracting space, and this is a multi-trillion-dollar space, so let's just be clear, like there's over 90,000 governments in the United States at the local level. There's all 50 states, they're all buying, and at the federal level, there's all the 440 agencies. Federal spends 1.9 trillion on goods or 1.5 trillion on goods and services. State and local is 1.9 trillion, and this is per year. So we're talking about 3.5 trillion dollars per year on just goods and services. And so this is a significant amount of money. I mean, Elon Musk is a trillionaire now, which is an insane amount of money, but government's spending three of Elon Musk's wealth total
a year
per year. So, anyway, I was like, well, there's so many different ways that this could be applied, and a lot of people have independently come to similar conclusions. So I've talked to a number of folks in the space, and they aren't doing exactly what we're doing. Like they didn't think about the intelligence gathering element of it, but they all see the opportunity that exists by being a cog in the machine, being a gatekeeper or essentially an assistant to grease the wheels for the government and the private sector to come together, and how much money is in the space. So
yeah, so many. Yeah. I was speaking to a colleague yesterday, and the subject of government contracts came up, and there's so many government contracts out there, and most of them go unrewarded. Isn't that right? Because people don't know that they're there, or they don't apply for them.
So it's not really commonly discussed, but there are a lot of folks in a lot of industries who do business with the government. There are some that go unrewarded, but a lot of businesses do know about it. They just don't talk about it, because if you're telling people about it, you're tipping off your competitors. So everybody has it. So this is a structural systems issue. Nobody's talking about it because nobody is like, let me tell everybody else about this opportunity that I want to put my throw my. It's like going to an auction and telling the world, hey, like they're giving away TVs for $50 or whatever. Like, I'll come here and bid against me. No, nobody has an incentive to talk about it. Everybody is kind of like protecting themselves. So people will go to conferences and talk about it, but companies are not publicly amplifying the opportunities, right? Nobody's like, hey, that watering hole exists over there.
Right.
If you know, then you know. But if you don't know, then nobody's telling you.
Got it. So. Got it. Okay, fair enough. Got it. And when you started your company, I mean, what motivated you to leave, the stability of, the corporate space to take the risk and start your own company? Especially you didn't have the intention to sell it.
Yeah. So I was working for the city of Santa Clara at the time, right before I left to start Bid Data. And it was safer for sure. You have a consistent paycheck, in government, and it's some things resonate with certain people more than others, and so there's a lot of people who are satisfied in those roles. And I, for a long time, worked in government, and I was satisfied in government roles for a while, but then I got to a point where I was not. So I would say that it was a moment in time in my life where I was ready to do what I did. So
it was just time. You felt ready.
Yeah.
Was it an internal calling? Like, was it an intuitive feeling that you had?
No, but I did know what was going on with AI. So I'm again, like I talked about tech. I've been techie ever since I was little. Super techie. When I was working for Santa Clara County, I applied technology to all my investigative work. I was very interested in it, and would try to champion and spur initiatives to increase the amount of technology that we used for the sake of investigations to enhance and increase and improve outcomes in investigations. So always paying attention to it, always forecasting it. I was talking about machine learning in like 2014 with attorneys in the Santa Clara County Public Defender's Office. Like we're talking about like 9 years before ChatGPT drops and the entire world was like, oh, there's a chatbot now. So I was always thinking about the implications in the future and kind of forecasting and anticipating the intersection of law enforcement and law and technology and how it would impact the criminal justice system at that time anyway. So
and so again, that's where your fascination in human nature, technology, it all comes together and makes you very unique. Where I want us to talk about save 5 hours, because I know all of us want to save 5 hours in the day. I know I do.
sure.
Can you tell us a little bit about that, about your business Save 5 Hours, and how it could help, entrepreneurs really become efficient and, have more time to invest in the areas like relationships and fun?
Sure. So right now, so Save 5 Hours, again, I'm like living and breathing AI, applied AI. I'm looking at the research. I'm looking at the news drops. Like it's interesting to me. I'm essentially educating myself daily, hours per day, I would say, on what's going on in technology, trying the technology, applying the technology. And then I do it for work. Like the majority of my time is spent at LotusPetal.ai. It's an end-to-end RFP response platform. It's an AI GovCon company. It's the company that acquired Bid Data. And the whole system is an end-to-end AI platform for government contracting. And then in go-to-market, I'm doing outbound marketing and then also sales using both AI marketing tools and AI sales tools and integrating using AI using agentic tools. I'm using Claude Cowork and Manus very regularly, integrating amongst a variety of different tools in order to do 10x 20x the work of a single person, so that to be efficient with our resources, essentially, which all businesses try to be. Anyway, efficiency has always been important for me. Save 5 Hours is born out of like, it's sales psychology to a certain extent, which is you talk about outcomes, not necessarily about features. And so the outcome is in AI, you could save time by applying an AI tool that allows you, instead of taking 40 hours a week to do something, you could take 25 hours a week to do the exact same work, as long as you were using a different tool that condensed the amount of work that you were doing, because AI is automating a bunch of stuff. So instead of you sending, taking 5 hours to send 50 emails, you can send 50 emails in like 45 minutes or something like that. So
I need that tool.
Yeah. So the purpose of Save 5 Hours is, again, because I'm like identifying and paying attention to the AI space and all the tools that are dropping and seeing the various ways online that people are applying them. It's an advisory service where I essentially will help a business that already has, they have a profit motive. They want to make money. They want a return on investment. And the idea is, well, a business owner or people in the business, their time is valuable. If they're wasting their time, they could be putting their time to something more valuable, where they could be investing themselves or making more money or spending more time with family. So the idea is, let me do an audit. Let me listen to whatever's going on with you. You tell me everything that you're doing, all your workflows, how your operations are, And then from there, I can identify where you have bottlenecks, where you have redundancies, where you are doing manual work when you could be automating the work. And then from there, generate a report, which identifies a bunch of tools, AI tools, that then can be implemented in your company that would then save you a significant amount of time and also potentially make you more money. So that's the premise behind Save 5 Hours. And the company's name Save 5 Hours because it's save 5 hours per week for 6 months or get your money back. So there's a guarantee baked in there as well. But yeah, it's there's also an implementation, a done with you and a done for you at different tiers, and an ongoing consultancy or operational role that can be for any business that wants to continue on a regular basis, having that assistance to make essentially their business lives significantly easier. And let me just use an example of a tool that I use personally that is not a tool that I created. So I have no financial incentive for saying this, but in sales, for example, historically, and there's a lot of movies about this, cold calling, you get a phone number of a lead and then you call them. There's a bunch of process in that people thought that they maximized the amount of improvement. Like you get a list of leads, you get the best leads you can. Then you have that list, and then you document, like you have your notes and everything, and it's it's like pen and paper, or it's on your computer in a CRM, and you dial the number. You literally are punching it in. You listen as it's ringing. It either goes to voicemail, it goes to an operator or a call tree, and you're burning time trying to get to the right person, or it connects directly. And that's usually a fraction of the calls. It's not all of them. Like oftentimes it's ringing to voicemail or people are not answering. But all that time that you're spending waiting to get someone on the phone is being burned. And then after or during the call, you have to take notes. And then after the call, you take the notes, you're logging them, you put it in your CRM. You might be typing it during the call or just after, but then you have to, you type it in and then you log it. It's all manual. Anyway, so one tool that I use is an AI auto dialer. It's Nooks AI, and if they watch this, I'm sure they'll be happy. But it's essentially allows you to do concurrent dialing, like 10 calls at a time, 5 to 10. And what will happen is the AI, you'll call in, and then it has like some interface. Essentially, you're calling in, and then it does on its end, it'll call 10 people in your outbound dialer at the same time. Concurrently, it'll handle the entire ringing process, the dialing process, the voicemail process, and the call tree process. And then it will connect you to somebody who says hello. And then it sounds like a real person. It'll drop all the other calls at the same time. You talk. You don't have to worry about taking notes because there's a system recording it. And then the AI pulls the transcript and summarizes it. So at the end of your call, you'll get the call disposition and then the notes. Then you click one button, you log it, and then you go to the next one. And then you call 10 numbers at the same time. Same thing. It cycles through. You wait 20 seconds to a minute. Next person gets on the line, but you're saving 15 to 20 dials in between every. And so like the amount of calls that you can have, the amount of time is 5 to 10x. Like you are literally 5 to 10xing yourself on cold calling. So that's an example of a single tool that can be used to force multiply a team member or save you a significant amount of time. Instead of getting 400 60 calls in an 8-hour period, you get 400 in, or you get 500 in. And then it's like now you just did 5 days worth of work in a single day.
Right. I mean, I wouldn't leave the office on Fridays until I had dialed 100 phone calls. Wow. And I'm serious. And so thinking about this it's amazing. I mean, you're saving more than 5 hours. And then also I would imagine with being able to make that many, phone calls, it's hitting your bottom line as well.
That's right. Yeah. The idea is like, well, now that you're getting more calls out, you're having more conversations, which means you probably have more conversions. Right. So immediately the fact that you're saving time, which allows you to do more things, the doing of the more things is actually revenue generating for you. Mm-hmm. And then you're immediately getting ROI. Like you're getting a return on your investment immediately because you took a tool that force multiplied you. It didn't just save you a few hours; it also turned you into 3 people. So
for sure. And so for the entrepreneur who's watching this, who's had like the fear around AI, who doesn't know where to start or what to do, and it just feels overwhelming, what would you recommend to them? Like they really want to implement, they don't know where to start, and they're feeling overwhelmed.
yeah, so the chatbots make it super easy. You can set up for a free account with OpenAI and then talk to the AI. Then on Google, because all of its free services like Gmail or whatever, Gemini is also free. You can do image generation, video generation, and you have AI in your email. It's becoming more immersed in the tools that we use. Microsoft products, everybody pretty much uses Microsoft if they have a personal computer. Has Copilot now. I am not. I tend to choose other models than Copilot, but so people can dabble. But what I would say is, if you're a business owner and you want to figure out how to apply it, there are so many ways that you can save time. So here's an example of a way that you can apply AI that is absolutely valuable for your business. So there's been studies done that if you respond to an inbound call or message on your website within 5 minutes, as opposed to getting back to them in an hour, your conversion rate goes up 400%.
I can see
So
that.
if you just have an automated response system that, like an AI that essentially is like, thank you very much for reaching out. We're busy at the moment. Can we schedule a time at this time for a representative to call you back? Just the engagement by itself, by having an automated system that is handling your inbound, and then so you have a chat bot or an automated, an AI-based system that essentially handles intake, that by itself will increase your conversion numbers and increase the amount of money you're making. And like when it really boils down to it, we're all in business to make money.
For sure.
And you want tools that are maximizing your ability to make money and save, resources as well, save money and save time and stuff like that. So yeah, automated intake. Intake is amazing. AI is amazing for intake. It's also very good for outbound. Like if you're trying to automate emails at scale now, doing anything manual, it's very difficult via social media. So if you want to do outbound, if you're doing cold emails or even on social media, AI systems are amazing too.
Mm-hmm.
So there's all these different ways, but so there's baby steps though, right? A couple things that I suggest also for people are thinking about a second brain where you have all your data in a single repository, or your tools connected to some layer of intelligence that has memory, so that your employees and their communications or your company data can be retained, so that when you're trying to figure out something, or anybody, they have the context of the rest of the business at their fingertips as well. Right. So those are things that are force multipliers. There's a variety of tools that do this. There's network relationship management. So if you're in business and you have a lot of customers, or you have a lot of friends, or you're trying to maintain a variety of different types of relationships, like you're like, hey, these are my business owner buddies, and then these are my customer. This is my customer group. There's tools like Mesh or Clay or something like that are relationship management tools that will plug into your email or your CRM or your other messaging systems like WhatsApp or iMessage, and it'll pull the data and create an intelligence dossier for all your connections, and then keep track of your relationships.
Wow.
Find which ones are going stale, which ones you should re-engage. You can set up automated scheduling systems. So you're like, hey, I need to reach out to this guy on his anniversary or his birthday or something like that. So you're keeping the relationship warm even when you're busy. I mean, there's so many different things and these things can be automated. So once you put the work in to set it up, then you have essentially, yeah. So there's many different tools at your disposal. So, Mesh, there's, you can be using tools like Manus or Claude Cowork or something like that. Claude Cowork plus Obsidian. I'm just citing a couple without going into detail, but
yeah,
you could always Google some of the stuff.
Where do you see us going with AI in the next 2 to 5 years?
Well, there's a lot of discussion about us approaching or arriving at artificial general intelligence or artificial super intelligence, which those terms are AGI and ASI, and nobody can really agree on what AGI is. ASI is sort of like, hey, you're so smart that you're like demigod level, intelligence. But so the question is first of all, how smart will AI get? And I think that right now you have a lot of text-based models, LLMs, that are very smart, but the real unlock is going to be the world models that are very smart. And those world models are multi-sensory. They intake vision, audio, smell, whatever. They're set, or temperature, condensation. I don't know, all the various sensors that may exist that can manage whatever is going on in reality, and then taking that contextual information and becoming smarter and smarter and smarter and smarter about the real world. And then where this can apply very, very much is to robotics and for the construction of things at the micro and macro level that allow for the rapid development of a variety of like in biotech, a lot of pharmaceutical drugs that can cure diseases, or reverse aging, or the creation of factories, dark factories, robots that work an unending amount of work to produce things. So we're going to be, Musk talks about this, a lot of people do, about this unlimited abundance where scarcity essentially ceases to exist.
Wow.
And get whatever they want. And the question is what do we do? What is our existential crisis going to be? How to manage people when the robots have handled all the work. So
we want, wow.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know how everything's going to manifest. One thing that leaves me up in the air is I don't know what's going to happen geopolitically. Will there be a war that leads to what is essentially a technological stone age? Like, is someone going to throw a bunch of EMPs up in the atmosphere and blow out the energy sector across a variety of countries? You can't have AI if you don't have an robotics or energy or computer systems that function, right? And so anyway, war could disrupt it, but conceivably patches of society somewhere on the planet will have technology that can keep growing. So we probably will see an unequal distribution of a variety of new amazing technologies.
Yeah, fascinating. Yeah. I mean, in our lifetime, we've lived through so many incredible seasons. I mean, this is fascinating. I'm really excited to see where it goes. I'm curious. How about that?
Yes, curiosity. We should all be curious. Yes.
Oh, it's been amazing. Like, I could keep you here for the next hour because you are just a wealth of knowledge. I'm so grateful for you, and I want to be respectful for your time. And for those watching, and they, entrepreneurs or founders who are really not sure, or small business owners, where can they find you if they're ready to step up their technology and then just need that help?
Sure. If you're an entrepreneur or a business owner that would like advice when it comes to AI, figuring out where you have maybe bottlenecks, or figuring out where you could save 5 to 15 hours per week. Mm-hmm. Please reach out to me at save5hours.ai. And then there's an intake form on there. And there's also email, support@save5hours.ai. Separately, if you are interested in working with the government or selling your goods or services to the government, you can reach me at michael.noffsinger@LotusPetal.ai. And I won't give too many different ways for people to reach me, but you can also find me on LinkedIn if you want. It's LinkedIn is my name. So just punch me.
And we'll share those as well. We'll share those with the audience. And thank you so much for joining us. I really appreciate you. And for those of you watching, listening, please like, share, and subscribe so we can continue to bring you incredible guests like Michael Noffsinger. Until next time, have an amazing day.